Hello ladies and gentlemen, this is Sounds of a Million Mr. COTELO, and I'm back with another video, and this time this is going to be a remaster of the perks that I've designed for a new Call of Duty. That's right, I designed these perks, did a little tweaking and stuff like that, and I just want to see what you guys think of it. Imagine if you put these perks in a Call of Duty game. Now keep in mind, I'm going to go through the perk system, then I'm going to go through the different tiers of the perks, and I'm going to explain each perk, what they do and their abilities. So my idea for a new Call of Duty game, I believe they should go back to the old pro system, the pro perks, where you have a standard perk, and when you complete certain challenges for that perk, you upgrade that perk and it becomes a pro perk. Well, this time, in my ideas, you got an elite version. So there's 3 different phases or 3 different stages of this perk. So there'll be a neutral base perk, then there'll be pro, then it will be elite. And I've got over 20 perks, so that's over 60 abilities if you times it by 3. So anyways, I'm probably going to put a picture up showing you the perks that I have. There's going to be 4 tiers. Yeah, 4 tiers instead of the regular 3 tiers. And I split these tiers into 4 different types of playstyles. So tier 1 will be aggression, rusher type perks, perks that apply pressure, apply movement, encourage movement. Tier 2 will be called intelligence. Things that to look out for, things that give you intel or advantage. The 3rd tier will be stealth. You're trying to be slick and silent, right? And the 4th one will be high stakes, where these type of perks will give you advantages, but with these advantages there may come a sacrifice, right? So they're split into 4 tiers, and you can only pick 2 perks. So instead of the standard picking 3 perks, for the sake of balance, you can only pick 2 perks out of any of the 4 tiers. So you can pick 1 perk from tier 1 aggression, and if you want stealth, you can pick 1 perk from tier 3, or vice versa. But you can only pick 2 perks, and you only can pick 1 from each of the perks, So instead of picking 3, you can only pick 2 out of the 2 perks out of 4 tiers. So I hope you understand that part. So now we're going to dive into it. So we're going to start with tier 1 aggression perks, and the first one is adrenaline. And what's the adrenaline? The base perk will be damage taken increases sprint speed. So when you're hurt, you can sprint faster. Pro version, use and throw back equipment faster. So say someone threw a grenade at you, you can pick it up faster and throw it back. You can also reload faster when your health is low, right? So that's the pro. The elite version of adrenaline, deal more melee damage when hurt. So when you're low in health and you gunbuck someone, you do extra damage. So say the standard melee damage will be maybe will take away 50% of your health. Let's say your health is 150, right? Actually, let's say if your health is 150 and it takes away 75%. So on standard, it will be 2 melee hits will take a person out, right? But when you're hurt with this perk, when you got low health and you melee them, it will take away maybe about 100%, right? So it will do more damage. Instead of taking away 75%, it will take away 100%. So that's the first perk done. The second perk will be Trackstar. Let me scroll through it and get it. Trackstar is increased stamina for jumping, action maneuvers, and super sprint time. Alright? So I believe that they should bring back a stamina bar, right? However, you're able to jog just like how you see now, you know, jogging. You can do an infinite jog, but the stamina bar will only decrease if you're jumping, you know, to stop people spamming bunny hopping and stuff like that. If you're jumping, action maneuvering, which I'm going to explain now. What's action maneuvering? So action maneuvering is a mechanic that I put in the game, which is already in the game, but action maneuvering will be, you'll be able to slide, you're able to dolphin dive, like in Black Ops 1, or another one, or you'll be able to roll, combat roll, you can roll forward, or you can be able to jump backwards, like you do in the Matrix or whatever. Or like if you ever played Resident Evil 6, where you can jump back on your butt and shoot on the ground, basically that. So there's 4 different action maneuverings. So slide, swan dive or dolphin dive, combat roll, and jump backs. So when you create your class, you can pick either one for your class, but you can only pick one. And super sprint. So super sprint, I believe, which is basically tactical sprint from Modern Warfare 2019. I believe they should bring it back in. So you're going to have increased stamina for jumping, action maneuvers, and super sprint. Pro, reload while running and at full speed. Kick up the debris behind you, blurring enemy screen chasing you. So meaning, when you're running, you're kicking up dust behind you. And if an enemy player is behind you, the dust will go into their screen and making you more evasive, and they'll kind of struggle at aiming at you or keeping a close target at you, or trying to be accurate when they're trying to shoot you. It'll kind of be difficult if they're behind you because you're kicking up debris, dust in their face. So elite version will be gain momentum behind enemy players. So if you're behind the enemy, you'll start to run faster. So the next one is breach. So the base perk for breach is crouch walk faster. That's very simple. And action maneuver further. So you can, when you action maneuver, it increases its distance. Wall bounce to achieve greater heights. Now this is a new mechanic. So you see this bus right here in front of your screen, where you see me on the bus, you'll be able to climb it. So certain things that you're not able to climb, you know, without this perk, you'll be able to climb. You know, you basically jump one step. You basically wall bounce. You take one step, like a ninja jump, then you climb over it. Right, so it increases your basically your climbing distance, or how high you can climb. Pro, while running and climbing, hip fire and use equipment at the same time. So it's kind of like basically like gung ho. Elite, less flinch from equipment, not including kill streaks. So when like a grenade explodes in front of you, you typically flinch, but when you have this perk, it's less flinch. So the next one is bloodlust. Bloodlust is what? It's kind of like quick fix, but it's a bit different. So the base version is headshots, melee, suicide assists, doing objectives, and backfire restore health faster. So your health is restored faster when you achieve those type of kills. Pro, enemy respawns are revealed on map. So it's kind of like Call of Duty Cold War perk and forward intel. When people spawn in, you know, they're revealed on the map. Elite, enemies that pick up or hack your weapons, watch your kill cam, or steal your care packages are highlighted in the minimap shortly. Quite simple, right? So the next one would be bulrush. Let's get bulrush, right? Bulrush. When sprinting, Close by enemies flash red very briefly. So when you're running, you're rushing, if you come in contact in your peripheral vision with enemy, they'll start flashing red. So it's giving you alert that enemies nearby. Sometimes when you're rushing too fast, you might skip people. So with this perk, when you're rushing, the enemies just light up or flash red, so you can be alerted to take down that enemy. But they have to be quite close to you. It doesn't work in long distance, so balance. Pro version, action maneuvers and super sprint cause knockdown. Remember, action maneuvers are the 4 types of maneuvering mechanics that I said. Swan dive, slide, jump backs, and combat roll. Right? So if you perform an action maneuvering on an enemy, he will get knocked down. He will fall on his back. He will stagger, giving you advantage to eliminate the player. If you're doing tactical sprint, super sprint 2, and he's close to you, you'll basically knock him down. Elite version, undetectable by ground kill streaks. So you're not certain ground kill streaks won't detect you. RCXD, remote control explosive car, sentry gun, guard dog, and so forth. So the next perk, what's the next perk? Lightweight. Lightweight is, the base one is running lowers the noise of your footsteps over time and move side to side faster. So the longer you run, the quieter your footsteps. Pro, switch weapons while action maneuvering. So when you're sliding, swan diving, combat roll, jump backs, you can switch your weapons during the animation. Elite, action maneuvering, climbing, and melee increases movement speed straight after. So when you perform a slide or roll, any form of action maneuver, or if you climb over obstacles or ladders, your movement starts to increase right after, so keeping you in a zone. The next one is heavyweight. Melee is instant KO. Yeah, so if you melee someone, it's a guaranteed knockout. That's if you have this perk. However, I put in brackets, unless they have padded armor gear, which that's going to be another video talking about, which I got videos concerning field orders, gears, and equipments and stuff like that. So it's an instant KO unless you have a certain gear called padded armor, which can endure melee damage. So heavyweight, this is the pro version. Increase mobility for heavier weapons. So if you're carrying LMGs, launchers, and snipers, you can move at an equal pace with someone that's carrying SMGs or ARs basically. Yeah, so it's a sacrifice. Elite version, reduce flinch when hip firing. So you don't flinch as much when you're hip firing. So that's the whole tier 1. So now we move to tier 2, which is intelligence, intel. And the first perk is marksman. What's marksman? Bullet damage marks enemies on minimap, right? So just like the perk recon from Modern Warfare 3, when you shoot enemies, they appear on the minimap. So you can see where they're positioned. In brackets, aim at an enemy for 3 seconds or get a hit marker to activate. So even if you don't damage them, if you're aiming on the enemy player for 3 seconds, they will come up on the minimap for you and your teammates. Or if you hit a bullet on them, you tag them with a bullet, they will come up on the minimap. Pro, switch that weapons auto reload over time. So let's say, you see that gunfight I was just in? I'm in a gunfight and I reloaded. Instead of reloading, let's say I've almost run out of bullets and I switch to my pistol or shotgun, because I don't have time to reload, because there's enemies coming and I need to eliminate them. So instead I can switch out my gun, go to my secondary gun. Then after after a certain amount of time, say about 5, 7 seconds, 10 seconds, the gun that I switched out from will be auto reload. I don't need to reload it because it will already be reloaded. So that's kind of a neat perk. And teammates with low health are highlighted behind walls. So kind of like the perk Team Link from Black Ops 4. Elite. Equipment and streak damage marks enemy on map. So not only bullets mark enemies on map, but your equipment like your grenades. If you get hit marker with a flashbang or stun or gas grenade, or if your score streak damages enemy players, you know, they will appear on the map. So the next perk is Detective. Footsteps highlighted, enemy footsteps highlighted. Pro, equipment and weapons and streaks highlighted behind walls. Right, detonation radius and notification countdown. So what is that? So a new idea that I've implemented with this is basically like engineer. So a detonation radius and notification countdown. What that means is if someone throws a grenade or someone throws a C4, when the grenade or the C4 lands, there's going to be a circle ring around that grenade or C4, telling the player that this radius is hazardous and dangerous. That means there's going to be an explosion in that area. So it's telling you to avoid this area. And also there will be a countdown within that ring. You'll see a red ring and it'll show a countdown. Maybe if there's someone threw a grenade, it'll count down to 4, 3, 2, 1. So it's telling you, notifying you how much time you have to escape that area. Kind of neat, right? Elite version. Enemies planting C4, claymore and mines are shown on map for a few seconds. So anybody that plants, you know, a certain type of equipments, you know, if they're nearby, they will show up on the radar for a few seconds, probably about 2-3 seconds. So the next perk is in tier 2 is Safe Haven. Let me go and find it. Bear with me. Safe Haven. When entering buildings and sections of it, it will appear in a map as green, safe, or red, hazardous. So if you enter a building and someone has planted their equipment there or an enemy is there, the building will flash red for like 2 seconds. So you got to pay attention to your minimap. But the thing is, you don't know if it's an enemy or equipment, so you don't know. So you have to investigate. But if there's nothing there, once you go into the room, it will flash green, meaning it's safe. There's no enemies, there's no equipment there. And it will flash green for 2 seconds. So for the sake of balance, it won't, you know, yeah, that's it basically. Pro, silence weapons fired indoors appear on minimap and indoor footsteps are louder. So if someone's using a silencer inside a building like here, it will show up in the minimap. And if you're indoors, you can hear footsteps more louder. Elite, recover from counter UAV, EMP and other disabling devices faster. Simple. The next one is Eagle Eye. Eagle Eye. Bigger minimap with more details, shows where killed players were shot from. Quite simple. You know, death icons, and so you have a death icon and it will show an arrow of where the person got shot from, you know, for a few seconds. Pro, taking down the enemy that has their kill streaks up makes you immune to it. So when you take down a person that has a let's say, oh, what kill streak, like a helicopter, right? You called in a helicopter. If you kill that person that called the helicopter will no longer target you as long as you stay alive. But once you die during that life, you have to kill that person again, right? Player with kill streak active has different color dot on map when firing, giving you a clue of who's got their kill streak up. Elite, enemy kill streaks alarm you when targeted. So just like paranoia, but the kill streaks will alarm you. So the next one would be dead on, right? Dead on. Enemies are highlighted red around you when you are damaged. So when you're taken, when your health is low, enemies around you will be highlighted red. You know, giving you advantage to giving you a slight advantage when you're low in health. You know, you're trying to survive. You want to know where your enemies are. You know, you're trying to avoid battle or whatever. You know, you're picking your shots. So the enemies will be highlighted red when you're on like less than 50% of health. Pro, hear better when damaged. So when you're low in health, you can hear better. Elite, players that spawn from a tactical insertion, open their care packages, operate and kill streaks with a laptop are revealed on minimap shortly. Quite simple. Crowdfire. Enemies that are two or more grouped up together are highlighted. So if you see two enemies next to each other, they're both going to highlight. Pro. Enemies hiding behind objects that are hazardous will be highlighted. So if an enemy is hiding behind like a car or something that is able to explode, you know, that object will be highlighted, indicating that there's an enemy right next to it. So you got an advantage to play smart by throwing a grenade at it so it can explode or whatever. Elite. Certain explosive equipments of yours that has not detonated after death will remain existing up to 3. So let's say you have a claymore or C4 and you used it, but it has not detonated. If you die during the fact that it hasn't detonated, you know, your C4, your claymore will still exist in a map, you know, until it's been detonated. But only up to 3 max or up to 2. Yeah. So that's it for crowdfire. So now was it tier 3, right? I'm gonna breeze through this one. Stealth. Predatory. Predatory base is immune to heat-seeking sights and heat-seeking equipment, right? So any scopes, you know, thermal scopes or stuff like that can trace your heating signatures, you'll be immune to it. Yeah. Pro, immune to UAV while mobile, planting and defusing bombs, reduce effects on advanced UAV, show up on radar like UAV for advanced UAV. Right. Elite version, bypass aerial control targeting systems in streaks. Yep. Next one is Death Sting. Let's see the base one. Hold on a sec. Death Sting, maximize quietness when crouched or prone. Move faster while prone, alerted when enemy spots you. Pro, silent reloads and less talking. Elite, leave a fake death icon for other players when shot at. Let's find freeze. Freeze. Your equipment gives no indication to enemy players resistant to detective perk. So your equipment gives no indication to enemy players. You know, when you throw, when a grenade is near you, it shows you an icon of the grenade and where it is. Well, if you have the freeze perk, when you throw a grenade at someone, it doesn't give them the indication. So they have to guess where the grenade is and look for it. Pro, damaging enemies bans them from using equipment and streaks for a few seconds. So if you got hit markers on someone and they're trying to use equipment, they can't use it for about 3-4 seconds. Same thing with their kill streaks, they can't activate it. Elite, melee causes greater stun and slower movements on enemies. The next one is interrogator. Melee and executions reveal enemy team on map for a few seconds, leave no death icons. So when you get execution from behind or you finish your player off with a melee, you know, a few seconds, you get to see the enemy team. Pro, shooting enemies at certain areas of their body has effects. So if you shoot an enemy at their body, they get slower healing. If you shoot them in their arms, they get slower reloads. If you shoot them in their legs, it disables action maneuvers and tactical sprint. Elite, gas grenades, flash, stun, etc. finish off players under 20% of health. So if an enemy is at 20% health and you throw a flash grenade at him, he will die. Lethal equipment damage delays enemy healing. Yeah. So the next one is blind eye. Delayed name identity when enemy faces you. So when an enemy looks at you, your name won't come up as red for a few seconds. Your name won't appear for a few seconds. So about 4 seconds, they need to keep aiming at you. They need to be aware of you. They need to take notice at you. So it's a stealthy perk. Pro, immune to aerial AI streaks. So you're immune to helicopter, helicopter support, and and other things. Elite, resistant to crowdfire perk, bulrush perk, and marksman base perk. Yep, which I just read. Yeah, that's it. I'm gonna go to tier 4 in the next video. Should I remember 4 different tiers: aggression, intelligence, stealth, and high stakes. I'm gonna deal with high stakes in the next perk. Well, in the next video, sorry. So yeah, I hope you like my perks. Like, share, subscribe, and do you have your own ideas, or which is your favorite perk that you like? Which is your favorite perk that you like, which I've just mentioned? So the next video, I'm gonna do tier 4. So this is Sounds a Million, Mr. COTELO signing out. Take it easy.